Hello everyone and welcome back to Killershrewfan's 12 Days of Reviews. We have got yet another review coming your way today, and it is going to be yet another Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy review. You get two back-to-back with this one. Yesterday we did the Ceratosaurus. Today we will be taking on this guy, Mattel's Sinoceratops. My apologies. Yeah, I know we're doing a lot of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom stuff this year with our 12 Days of Reviews, but that's just because these are certainly the hottest toys of 2018 for dinosaur toy collectors. They have outsold Star Wars here in the States. They are up for several awards. Any way you look at it, these Jurassic World toys are definitely hot this year, and they are definitely what collectors are after. I know there are a lot of people out there who prefer the dinosaur toy models to the action figures, and that's totally respectable. But these are the things that are selling like hotcakes right now, so I want to give my take on as many of these as I can. So, as you all know, this is Mattel's Sinoceratops. Doesn't look like a Sinoceratops, does it? Maybe in terms of the paint, but in terms of the overall physical attributes, it is a Pachyrhinosaurus through and through. So the story that I have heard about this, and bear with me, I've kind of just picked up information here and there, little tidbits, and I've kind of just pieced it together, but my understanding was, back during production, when Mattel was going to be planning the toy line, and Universal was making the movie, it was going to be a Pachyrhinosaurus in the movie. So Mattel's like, okay, we'll make you a Pachyrhinosaurus, and they got to work. Later on, Universal decided, nope, it's a Sinoceratops. Mattel, you need to change it. By then, everything was done for Mattel with the sculpt. It was engineered, put together, everything was done. And they're like, well, we can't, it's too late to change course now. We gotta just go with the model that we have. So they did, but what they did do was change the paint scheme to make it look more like the Sinoceratops from the movie. So it's really just on Universal for making Mattel change gears so late in the game that we wound up with a sort of Pachyrhinosaurus with the Sinoceratops paint scheme. But honestly, it's just a label, guys. Come on, if you want to call this thing a Pachyrhinosaurus, you call it a Pachyrhinosaurus. The only reason I'm upset about any of it is because, if I'm being 100% honest, the promo images from the Toy Fair of the Pachyrhinosaurus back in the day, the original paint scheme looked so much better than what we got with this one. I'm not a huge fan of just the added colorations. I wish they kept the original paint scheme, but like I said, they couldn't. Universal wanted them to change it, and they did what they could, so, you know, evolve or die out. I think that was the tagline of Jurassic Park 3. I could be wrong. Anywho, we are going to give you guys a closer look at the packaging for this Sinoceratops, and then we are going to open it up and give you guys a closer look at the sculptural details, the gimmicks, do some sizing, all of that good stuff for you here on Killershrewfan's Killer Toy Review, so don't go anywhere. So the box is the same old story with the Jurassic World logo in the top left corner, bars of a cage in keeping with the themes of removing the dinosaurs from Isla Nublar. Down in the bottom left corner you have got Owen and Blue, the heroes of our film, a 3+ year warning, which I qualify for. There you can see Sinoceratops. Of course, this is part of the Roarivore lineup, as it is indicated. And in the bottom right corner, you have got a lovely diagram of the action feature that this dinosaur has. Moving up the back of the box, you can see the forests of Isla Nublar silhouetted by the orange and red colors of the eruption of Mount Sibo. There you can see the roaring dinosaur indicator and a push button indicator, so that way you can try this dinosaur out in stores, which I always recommend doing. But yes, just like everything else before, lovely box art on this one, nothing's really changed. The back of the box features a lovely diagram of the dinosaur's action feature. This time you get the full body instead of just the head, but there you can see the roaring button indicator along with the push button indicator. And then the top right corner reminds us to get the Jurassic World Facts apps. That way we can download a digital copy of the dinosaur into our phones and learn all sorts of facts about it and take quizzes on it. The bottom left corner features all the other dinosaurs that are available during Wave 3 of the Roarivore lineup. The Triceratops is still kicking, the Pteranodon is a holdover from Wave 2, and the Metriacanthosaurus is back from Wave 1, which is a welcome addition. It looks like just the Baryonyx, the Allosaurus, the Ceratosaurus, and the Ankylosaurus are gone now, but I'm glad to see the Metriacanthosaurus is back. Alright, that is enough hoo-ha about the packaging. It's time we get this Sinoceratops/Pachyrhinosaurus out of the box. So without further ado, let's do this! Okay, so the easiest way to do this is just to kind of snip the tape surrounding the perimeter of the box, connecting the front and the back. I think there's about half a dozen pieces of tape overall. So it's just a simple matter of sliding, cutting, sliding, cutting. Oh, he's not happy. Don't worry, we're getting you. And now, we're just going to go ahead and slide the inner core part out. And here, we're going to take our scissors, just quick snip, quick snip, Yes, this is a one-and-done deal, just like all of their other Roarivores.
You can't put it back in the box.
Alright, and then this part on the back here, usually they kind of have it taped on. It seems with Wave 3, they've just gone ahead and glued it on, so we just gotta peel it away. Oh, the humanity! So that is done. As you can see, you've got a nifty little envelope of instructions here. Pretty basic stuff, just how to assemble it, activate it, change the batteries, all that basic stuff. And then you've got his nice stubby little tail, and as you can see, he is not himself without it. So let's go ahead and slide that in. Quick clip. Oh, fought me there, but there we go. It is in, and our Sinoceratops is now complete. You know what? I've decided I'm going to call this little beauty the Sinorhinosaurus. I think that's got a nice ring to it, don't you? Alright, so without further ado, let's take a closer look at this Sinorhinosaurus. So taking a look at the head of this Sinoceratops, as you can see, it's got the usual level of detail for Mattel, and like the Triceratops Roarivore, it is sculpted in a closed mouth position, which for this particular Roarivore, and the way the rest of the body is sculpted, I think it works just fine that way, but I love all of the individual scales that were sculpted into this face. They're varying sizes, shapes, but they all work so incredibly well, and the eye is seated nice and deeply into the head, and I love the wrinkles surrounding it. I will say that the paint job on the eye is kind of dull and listless and uninspired, so that's a little disappointing. But if we take a look at the head from a front view, we can see all of the ornamentation that Mattel have given to this Sinorhinosaurus. It's not quite as elaborate as the Sinoceratops from Jurassic World, but it's pretty near the mark for a Pachyrhinosaurus, so, you know, I mean, since this was originally a Pachyrhinosaurus, I'll definitely give him a pass for that. And I love the orange coloration, the orange splash of color there, and it works really well for the Sinoceratops paint scheme. I do wish they had punched the holes into the frill, though. Moving down the body, as you can see, this is a totally new sculpt than the Triceratops. Like I said, I was concerned that they would just kind of copy and paste the head onto the Triceratops body, but they gave us a totally new body, complete with a new silhouette, new details, lovely bags of skin, scales, and larger scales. It's a really well sculpted body, and then as you can see, you've got the point where the tail attaches, and the tail feels pretty well proportioned to the rest of the body. Some of Mattel's pieces, the tails feel a little too short. This one feels like it's very well proportioned in relation to the rest of the body of the Ceratopsian. Moving back up the opposite side, you can get a look at all the detail on this side. Again, same story. Lovely sculptural details on a completely new body. I love the hanging, bagging up skin around the gut. And then we come back up to the beautiful head of this Sinoceratops. Taking a look at the legs and arms, it is in a very neutral position, standing with its knees and elbows slightly bent, but there are lovely patches of skin bagging up and folding where they should be. There's also some plate scaling going on at the back of the toes. Unfortunately, the toe claws are not painted, but that's just kind of standard for Mattel at this point. There's also some lovely musculature in the thigh and bicep region. As you can see, it is flexing as it holds the creature stationary, and it looks very naturalistic and realistic. The other side, same story. I love the folding up of the skin at the elbows and at the calf region, and then the kneecap and elbow look very well sculpted, and then the musculature is also all there on this side as well. Moving along the underbelly, as you can see, there are different types of detailing going on down here, including scaling, folds of skin. There you can see on the back left foot the Jurassic World Facts app QR code, so if you want to scan that into your phone, here's your opportunity. Here's a good look at it, and again, I went too far, I pushed it, I really shouldn't have. Alright, so there's that. If you want to scan this dinosaur into your phone, now is your chance. And then taking a look at the back right foot, you can see the Jurassic World emblem, which was originally on the thigh during all of Kenner and Hasbro's days, but has been moved to the bottom of the foot for Mattel. The speaker on this Sinoceratops looks like it was clawed out by some sort of predatory dinosaur, and unfortunately the white of the underbelly does not carry on to the lower jaw, which is unfortunate. In terms of the pose, it is a very neutral pose. The Sinoceratops has its head facing forward, its arms and legs straight beneath it, slightly bent, and it is looking directly ahead, so it's nothing too active, much like the Triceratops before it. In terms of the paint scheme, it is the Sinoceratops from the Jurassic World, but like I said, I prefer the original paint job of the Pachyrhinosaurus version. The stripes and the white cream work well to show that it's the Sinoceratops, but the original earthy tones gradiated so well into each other that I'd have a hard time saying I like this version better. And the stripes do feel a little bit too out there, too saturated compared to its movie version. But like I said, the orange on the frill is definitely a nice touch. In terms of the posability, the legs can go forward, and they can't really go out, maybe just a little bit, but they're pretty set in there. The back legs can go back and out and around, much less hindered than the front legs, as you can see. And they do go out much further than the front legs, but even with all of these rotation points, they do have the snap-in points. Let me side note that. But even with all those rotations, you can't really get much out of this. I mean, you can kind of get like a walking pose, and then the head moves freely on that ball and socket joint, which is also cool, but that's really about all you can do. Also maybe a laying down pose, but yeah, not much for the posing on this guy. Now for the action feature on this Sinorhinosaurus. Just like the Triceratops before it, it has a head ramming attack, which is triggered by a button. Shh, we're not there yet. Which is triggered by a button located halfway down the back, and all you gotta do is press that and... So yeah, a variety of sounds in no particular order. I'm sorry I did that so many times. I wanted to make sure we got all of them out. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think those were exact repeats. I don't think there were any exact repeats of the Triceratops sound effects in there. No T-Rex roar, which is a miracle. And I really like the stomping sound effects and then that sort of chittering grumble that came after that. That was probably my favorite of the bunch. So not only did we get an original sound effect with this toy, we also got the original sculpture, which is great. Mattel did not just do a complete Triceratops retooling cash out with this model, which I think is fantastic. In terms of its overall size, I will say I was a little surprised at just how big this one is, but the official tape measure puts it at right around 11 inches long from tip of snout to tip of tail, which, geez, what is that? It's about 28 centimeters long, looks like. And then from the base all the way to the highest point, which is the top of the head in this case, you're looking at just under 5 inches, which is about 12.5 centimeters. For size comparison, here it is next to the Series 1 Triceratops Roarivore, and as you can see, this Sinoceratops / Pachyrhinosaurus is a bit bigger than the Triceratops. I looked it up, and according to the Jurassic World canon, the Triceratops and Sinoceratops are supposed to be about the same height, but the trike is supposed to have a little length on it. So these ones seem a little off in that regard, but then again, hey, it's supposed to be a Pachyrhinosaurus. Next up, we've got our favorite Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy, Carnage the Carnotaurus, reenacting that awesome scene where the Carnotaurus and Sinoceratops fight. This really doesn't work. You know, in the movie, it looked like the Carnotaurus was even smaller than the Sinoceratops. That could have been a juvenile Carnotaurus, but even so, this does not work. The Pachyrhinosaurus would have to be much bigger to be a Sinoceratops in scale with the other dinosaurs. And finally, we have Owen, who is thanking the Sinoceratops/Pachyrhinosaurus for waking him up before the lava hit. And even this, I feel like, could be bigger for the Sinoceratops. I mean, Owen wouldn't fit between its legs like he did in the movie. Well, everyone, that is going to do it for our look at the Mattel Sinorhinosaurus. Overall, it's pretty good. I mean, sculpturally speaking, it's there. The gimmick is there. Props to Mattel for not just reusing the old body of the Triceratops and giving us a totally new sculpt. I appreciate that greatly. But just the history surrounding this and the fact that it was mandated by Universal that Mattel change it with such short notice really cripples the overall final product. It feels a little directionless. It's too small to be the Sinoceratops from the movie. The paint scheme works for the Sinoceratops, but again, the sculptural details don't. It's just kind of a mishmash of elements that work for what they were going for with the Sinoceratops, and elements that don't. So all of that considered, I think I'm going to give this model a 7 out of 10. Like I said, everything that works really works, but everything that doesn't isn't necessarily Mattel's fault. It was just kind of Mattel having to do what Universal told them to do and given very little time to do so in. So that resulted in a bit of a mishmash of a figure, which is unfortunate, but I am still glad to have it in the collection, and it is probably my favorite Ceratopsian Roarivore between the two. I think I prefer this one to the Triceratops just because it's bigger, it's more interesting. I think this one does outdo the Triceratops in those regards. But as always, I would love to hear what you guys think of this model. Do you own it yet? Are you planning to pick it up? Do you prefer this one or the Triceratops? Do you prefer this new paint scheme to the old paint scheme? Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments section below. Also, which is your favorite Roarivore? Because today marks the last Roarivore that we will be reviewing on the channel as part of 2018, which is awesome. So let me know all of your thoughts, and if you enjoyed our video, don't be afraid to let us know by hitting that like button, and don't forget to subscribe on the way out, as we got a lot more coming your way. Alright, that's gonna do it for us today. Killershrewfan out.